Hey guys, Bugcat7 here. Okay, it is Friday, March 13th, 2020, and I'd like to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And a special shout out to all the new subs that have come over from Andrew's channel. And really do appreciate the shout out by Andrew. So special shout out to Andrew here. I've been following Andrew for a very long time now, since he only had like a few hundred subs or so, and promoted his channel on my channel because I know a super smart guy when I hear one. And Andrew's analysis of the bevel block and the nubs and his work with Bill from um, the ancient alternative view and right insights has been incredible. And these revelations are ultimately extremely important. And the nubs being some sort of language or information on some level is of extreme interest to me, certainly. And I've often commented on some of these things on, my thoughts on the matter. But in any case, thanks a lot to everybody. And I cover a variety of topics on my channel. And, you would have to see a number of my videos to really get a feel for, what I'm about on my channel. But I cover mainly the stone walls of New York and New England. That's, what my chief focus and what my actual research was about. And what this video is about is the Korea, the land of dolmens, and it's just an amazing Neolithic area of the world where actually 40% of the world's Neolithic dolmen are to be found, number one. And number two, some of the largest dolmen, and in fact, the largest dolmen in the world, is to be found there officially. Okay, but how does this relate to my work on the stone walls, etc.? Well, there are Neolithic dolmen and stone constructions in the northeastern part of North America. And what I believe is, aside from the ones we can identify, many of these dolmen are incorporated into stone wall constructions in the remote regions where nobody lives and nobody's lived for a very long time. And the Smithsonian and the Bureau of Ethnology, who handles these sort of issues in archaeology and anthropology, does not acknowledge these things. Although states like Vermont, for example, acknowledge these things as being quote unquote mysterious stone constructions, um, they're not saying that they're Neolithic dolmen or anything like that, because they don't know what they are. But their state archaeologist doesn't know what they are, but they're not calling them Neolithic dolmen. But Jimmy the Paleo Mountain Man, who Andrew also mentioned in his video there, we went up on Mount Ephraim in Vermont there to look at the stone walls and the mysterious stone constructions that the state of Vermont says are up there. And here's one of them. Jimmy's going up to it now. It's this flat slab of rock that's being perched up by a smaller stone on this boulder over here, almost like an effigy, something in its mouth, maybe, which is similar to things I found in my site in Connecticut in the Green Mountains there, where these Neolithic things can be found all over the place. But here I am with Jimmy. We found a dolmen up on Mount Ephraim over there. So if you're new to the channel, you may not know that I've been out in the field, did my own research here, and Jimmy and I did a whole series where I came up with a number of hypotheses that are very good ones. Uh, this eye in the walls, which you can see in some of the videos here, and then some sort of language, which I call the stone wall code. Okay, some sort of language in the walls up there. So this is why this is so important to me. Is it seems to be a worldwide shared um, cultural stone construction, such as the dolmen, which seem to appear, all over the world. It's very similar to each other in the methods used in the constructions, and it's no less here in North America than anywhere else in the world. So just an example of it on my channel here, and this is in a playlist of Jimmy and I doing research up in Vermont there, especially by his house there. Here he is, him and I meeting here, and looking at the stone wall that's behind us over there. It's just fantastic effigy right behind us there. So this is what the Northeast looks like, folks, of North America. This whole geographical area over here looks just like this. Okay, it's an incredible mega city, for lack of a better word. It's like a mega city. And here's just an example of what can be found in the whole entire northeastern part of North America. So I go through the serpent walls of the Northeast because I identified the effigy of the serpent in all the stone walls, and corroborated by other evidence from places like New York, where 600, 700 miles away, other stone walls were built that have the effigy in it as well. And I have this video, biggest area of ancient stone constructions on the planet. It's not South Africa, folks, with the stone circles. Yeah, that's a big, giant, huge area, and you have these stone circles there that seem all very similar to each other, but that's nothing like this. Okay, this is just, it's so amazing and incredible, and the lack of research done it is the this is the most poorly researched area of ancient stone constructions in the entire world. And look what's going on here. These wall sites, and this is just verified. This is not does not include unverified stone constructions such as stone chambers, effigies, earthworks, cairns, etc. These are just the stone walls themselves, and many of them don't make any sense, as Jim Vieira says, in the colonial or settler context. And he was a stonemason, so
In the
in
world, in
any
the
case,
evidence.
this is what it looks like here, folks. So let's get to North Korea. The Korea, just it doesn't matter whether it's north or south, it's just the Korean peninsula there. And other things which corroborate this sort of worldwide, proto civilization, or some civilization that existed in Neolithic times that has some shared cultural ways from around the world, including the Northeast here, unofficially. Okay, it could be that there are more um, dolmen in North America than anywhere else in the world, but it's not counted as being such. So, for all we know, this is where it is, but there's certainly a lot of it. And as I said, some playlists, these couple of videos, Serpent Walls of the Northeast, biggest area of ancient stone constructions on the planet. Me and Jimmy in Vermont, and then me as well down in the Green Mountains in rural Connecticut, where I just take it and show you a whole Disneyland of ancient stone constructions there. Just unbelievable stuff. 30 something videos, 32 videos of me. So I'm just, if you don't know me, you're a new sub. I'm a guy who actually went out there and did research on my own independently. I'm not just a guy who reads articles and, research papers to you and says a bunch of stuff. I actually have done some research, and some of the revelations that have come out of this is just nobody has looked at the walls of the Northeast in quite the same way that Jimmy and I have done in our research there in Vermont and mine in Connecticut there. So please watch those. I have low views on it, some of those videos, but there's amazing stuff to be found in these areas, like a megalithic sea turtle and a giant manitou head, and also, and besides being beautiful, just amazing and beautiful. So earthworks and more stacked boulders the size of these dolmen here, one on top of another, just all sorts of stuff. So it's related in that aspect to the Neolithic culture that might have been here in the Northeast. It has similar constructions in Dolmen, etc. But some of this stuff goes even deeper. So I want to read you this Wikipedia article here and also read you a little bit of a research paper from the Russia Academy of Sciences, a PDF that I downloaded and printed about the Dolmen here. So some serious research, and then some even deeper research as to what to be gained by looking at these things. And it's very interesting that the artifacts that are found among these dolmen seem so very highly advanced in their craftsmanship and the artwork on some of these things. And then you look at the dolmen itself, it's, the level of expertise in metallurgy, etc., does not match what these things seem to represent, sort of Stone Age culture and everything, where these people were producing these highly crafted things that are just amazing, and it doesn't seem to match. So, in any case, let's take a look at some of this stuff, because this is interesting, because 40% of the world's dolmen are to be found in Korea, and some of the largest ones, in fact, maybe the largest one in the world, that's some 290 tons, I believe, that was lifted off the ground and put on top of other stones. So, who would be doing this? Let's talk about it and see what the relationship might be that we hear about at the end of this Wikipedia article here. But we're going to look at some other stuff too. Gochang, Hwasun, and Gangwon dolmen sites. The Gochang, Hwasun, and Gangwon dolmen sites are the location of hundreds of stone dolmens which are used as grave markers and for ritual purposes during the first millennium BCE, when the megalithic culture was prominent on the Korean peninsula. The sites were designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 2000, so not that long ago. Korea is said to contain more than 40% of the world's dolmen, which are mostly concentrated in these three sites. The megalithic stones are invaluable because they mark the graves of the ruling elite. Pottery, comma-shaped jewels, bronzes, stone tools, and other funerary artifacts have been excavated from these dolmen. The culture of the people during this time can be gleaned from the evidence left by the dolmen. Additionally, it can be induced from the stones how the stone was quarried, transported, and used to build the dolmen. Well, that's completely theoretical, the transportation of these things, because nobody knows how they might have done that. It could be dozens of different ways they could have done it, but many things where they showed him on, rolling stone on logs or whatever. Well, any bigger than the ones that they show people doing that with would just crush those logs to mush. And they know it. Dolmen and Korea have been dated to the 7th century BCE in locations such as Gochang, and the practice ended around the 3rd century BCE. The Dolmen culture is linked with the Neolithic and Bronze cultures of Korea. Excavation at the sites did not begin until 1965. Since then, multiple digs have been sponsored, and an extensive program of inventory and preservation has been initiated by the Korean government. So here, these are the indigenous people of this area. They don't have any problem digging up their ancestors there for the sake of science and figuring out what history might be. I think that's, history doesn't belong to anybody specifically of the human race. It belongs to us all. So anybody withholding that information for whatever reasons or whatever grounds is not entirely correct. And you got to come correct, man. Origin. There are three main theories about the origin of the ancient Korean dolmen. First, the theory that it was spread through the sea in Southeast Asia. Secondly, the theory that it was derived from a stone tomb in the north. And third, the theory that it originated in Korea. The theory of spreading from South Asia. According to the first theory, the dolmens spread through Southeast Asia along with the rice culture. Dolmens are distributed along the west coast of Korea, and the distribution is consistent in the southern part of the culture. The dolmen was spread from Southeast Asia along with agriculture. So here you have Neolithic people, basically Stone Age people, who are not strictly hunter gatherers. Apparently, they're involved in agriculture, but not in the Americas. See, that's forbidden. That's verboten. Okay, none of that in the Americas. Well, they're changing their mind about it, and as Chuck's reported, and I reported on this channel, out of the 67 Paleolithic sites where they dug in the United States, okay, only 14 of them showed hunting activity of these large mammals from the past, and the rest of them show no evidence of that whatsoever. Okay, and again, as I said on my channel a million times, growing things is a pretty easy thing to figure out for anybody. It's ridiculous. Oh, they were only maybe temporarily while they were, moving somewhere or something like that. But they're not discerning that, that evidence for, because they don't know. The theory is okay. So the theory of spreading from Northern Asia. This theory is derived from the assumption that dolmen developed from the stone tomb of the Manchuria because it is closely related to the Bronze Age culture of the North. And on my channel, Manchuria is a phony word made up by the Japanese to replace the former location, which was called Chinese Tartary officially and taught here in the United States in compulsory education in the 1800s. If a stone mound is exposed to the ground due to the large size, the stone will be a stone-shaped table. Although it is very persuasive in terms of shape, it is not distributed in northern Asia such as Manchuria and Siberia. The theory of originating in Korea. In the background of this theory, dolmens are the most distributed in Korea. They are diverse in shape and are timed ahead of those of other countries. It is highly likely that the culture of the South and the North will have developed a unique dolmen culture in Korea. The peninsula originated from its geographic location where it provided easy access to the culture of the North and South. Okay, so here's the theories about it. So there's all these different ones, so they don't know. And it could be fourth and fifth and sixth theories. They just don't like those, whatever they are. Description: dolmens are generally classified as two types in East Asia: the table northern type and the go board southern type. In the former, four stones were positioned to make the walls of a box and were capped by a stone which lay on top of the supports. The latter is characterized by underground burial with stones that supported the capstone. Gochang dolmen site. This group of dolmen is the largest and most varied. They are known as the Jungnim Ri dolmens and are centered in Mason Village, Gochang County, North Hiola Province. The dolmens were built from east to west at the foot of a series of hills at an altitude of 15 to 50 meters, 49 feet to 164 feet. Generally, the capstones of the dolmens are around 1 to 5.8 meters, 3.2 to 19 feet in length, 19 feet, and may weigh up to 225 tons. 442 dolmens have been documented and classified based on the size of the capstone. This group is believed to have been constructed around the 7th century BCE. The Gochang Dolmen site is listed as historic site number 391. Hwasun Dolmen sites. Hwasun Dolmen site is located in the Yangtze Valley, which connects Hyeosung-ri, Dogak-myeon, and Dasin-ri, Chongyang-myeon. These dolmens scattered around the Hyeosan-ri Dogak-myeon is estimated to be the dolmen of 135 out of a total of 980 stone structures. So there's other stone structures there that aren't these dolmen, that are just stone constructions, similar to that which is going on over here, folks. Okay. The dolmens The dolmens of Hyeoseong-ri are estimated to have been exposed to at least 250 places, including those that have been quarried for the building the dolmen. According to a survey, 124 out of 3,309 stone structures are estimated to be dolmen. Okay, so 124 out of 3,309 stone structures. I mean, I'm sure there's interest in these other stone structures too. You know, where is it? The research started in 1965. Well, 50 years is not much. The typical characteristic of Hwasun Dolmen is 596 dolmens in a small area. The largest statue in Korea is located in Daesan-ri, Chongyang-myeon. The tomb is 7.3 meters long, 5.0 meters wide, and 4.0 meters thick, and weighs 280 tons. The largest dolmen in Hyeosan-ri Dogak-myeon is 5.3 meters long, 3.6 meters wide, and 3.0 meters thick, which is estimated to be more than 100 tons. And these things were lifted up off the ground. The Hwasun Dolmen site is listed as historic site number 410. The Hwasun Dolmen site was registered as a World Heritage number 997 with Gochang and Gangwon Dolmen on December 2nd, 2000. Gangwon Dolmen sites. These dolmens are located on Gangwon Island, Gangwon County, Incheon. They are situated on the slopes of mountains and are thus higher in elevation than their counterparts. These dolmens are believed to be the earliest ones made because the dolmen groups in Baegon-ri, in Haijeon-myeon, and Gocheon-ri in Naga-myeon resemble the early dolmens. However, this has not been conclusively proved, so a lot more research to be done. Gangwon Island is a place rich in mountains and water, and early ruling groups were formed to make dolmen. Also, there are about 150 dolmens in abundance, which is good for making dolmen. The distribution map of the dolmen shows that the dolmens were closely related to fishing in the Bronze Age, although they are now separated from the sea. A notable dolmen at Gangwon is Northern Table Type Dolmen, where it is believed that ancestral rites were performed. It is the biggest stone in South Korea, which measures 2.6 by 7.1 by 5.5 meters, but it only has two supporting stones. Combined, the supporting stones and the capstone weigh between 150 and 225 tons. It was designated as a historic site number 137 as one of the representative tombs of the Bronze Age. A large stone measuring 710 centimeters long, 260 centimeters high, and 550 centimeters wide was used, and the shape of the stone is a northern type of dolmen, making a good source of research on ancient history. The Gangwon Dolmen site was registered as a World Heritage Site along with Gochang and Hwasun on the 24th UNESCO World Heritage Committee in Cairns, Australia on November 29, 2000. Other Korean dolmens. South Korea's dolmen is mostly concentrated in South Jeolla province. By region, there are 338 units in Gangwon-do, 502 in Gyeonggi-do, 189 in Gyeongbuk-do, 1,597 in Jeollabuk-do, 10,068 in Jeollam-do, 2,800 in Gyeongsangbuk-do, and 140 in Jeju-do. Recently, a large number of sites were discovered in Chuncheon, Gangwon-do, and 101 more were added to the list. In Sansari, Yucheonmyeon, Yusu, Jeonnam-do, there is a dolmen which is presumed to be the largest in the world. There are quite a few dolmens in Seoul too. However, in the process of rapid urban development, the dolmen is believed to have almost been destroyed. Dolmen existed in Gyeongnyung-dong, Gaepo-dong, Daemo Mountain, Umyeong-dong, Yangjae-dong, Wongi-dong, and Goncheok-dong. Among them, Wongi-dong dolmens were discovered with related artifacts in 1984, but most of them are now believed to have been destroyed because they did not take any protection from the installation of protective facilities, signs, and cultural properties. Okay, so they screwed up there. Not good. Roles of dolmen. Although there were many controversies over the function of the dolmen on the Korean peninsula, it was confirmed that the stone was made for the purpose of the tomb in 1967 when the complete human bones were discovered at Hwangseok-ri Dolmen in Jecheon, North Chungcheong Province. However, some argue that the tomb was not just a function of the tomb. Although there is no objection to the fact that the tomb functioned as a tomb, some argue that the stone was made as a function of an altar or tombstone in addition to the tomb. Claiming the function of the altar, the table dolmen might have served as an altar rather than a tomb, citing the fact that they are located higher than the surrounding area so that people can easily see, and the appearance of grandeur on the pedestal and the structure of the pedestal, which is difficult to form a tomb. In addition, in the case of the group of dolmen, sometimes the dolmen can be seen to be unusually large or different in direction than other dolmens, which is presumed to be a simple function that was built to reveal the authority and prestige of the tomb building group. Isn't that interesting? The different in direction than other dolmens. So we see similar things in the burials of the large hominids or giants, quote unquote giants, that we see in the accounts here in the Americas. So, just interesting. So, this is very interesting. Pay attention to this the cadaver and status. Examples of human bones excavated from the Dolmen site are Hwangsak-ri in Jecheon, North Chungcheong Province, Chungcheong in Gangwon Province, Jincheongdong in Daegu, and Daepyeong-ri in Jinyang, South Gyeongsang Province. The discovery of human bones provides an insight into the funeral customs during the construction of the dolmen and also provides information on the thought and religious aspects of the time. In particular, the Hwangsak-ri dolmen skeleton is almost perfect, about 176 centimeters tall. So that's about average size today, like 5'8" or something like that, 5'9". But they still tell you it might have been a juvenile, but they're not saying that. But and get this, and the skull shape differs from that of today's Koreans, but it has yet to be confirmed whether it's a common form or a personal difference. So I'm wondering if it's artificial deformation or a common form, a naturally occurring of this skull shape that differs. And I've done a video on the channel about elongated skulls across the world. In the very last segment of that video, I do the Koreas, which show some very strange elongated skulls that seem similar to those that were found in the Americas. Okay, so the claim that the person buried in a dolmen is a tomb of a powerful ruler, such as a tribal chief, is gaining credence. There are also various other claims, including the tomb of the ruler and his family, the joint tomb of a blood related group, and the tomb of a person who made a contribution in the war. So, where are the rest of the skeletons buried of all of these people? And again, it may be similar to that of the Americas, where the common people were often cremated, basically reduced to ash, and only the leaders and high status individuals of the society were buried in some sort of special tomb or mound or whatever it might be, and mummified and all these other sorts of things common to the Americas burials of these large hominids. So the Wikipedia is interesting there, especially about the skull shape there and the theories, etc., etc. But here, I believe, is that one of the largest dolmen here, and there is a video, what they call these Korean ancient history X Files, and here's the 290-ton dolmen. They show 291-ton trucks. Okay, so 290 tons, and has this relief carved into it for some reason. Okay, and again, the craftsmanship of these people and what these dolmen look like certainly don't match each other. It's interesting, this Korean Ancient History X Files series here. I'll leave a link to this video so you can look at it. They show some very interesting areas in this video, but they don't go into depth like we're looking into here. So let's let's look at some of these dolmen while I read here. And here they show very tall dolmen, as these tabletop style ones, and you'd have to be awfully tall to be using this as a tabletop. This is Gochang County, Korea. Dolmens are grave markers. The Jungnim Ri group of dolmens is centered on the village of Mason in Gochang County. The ones in Gochang date to around the 7th century BC, earlier than the Hwasun dolmens, but later than the Ganghwa from the island there. The group, of which 442 dolmen have been documented and studied, is large and varied. Its capstones measure approximately between 1 meter, 3 feet, and 6 meter, 20 feet in length, and some of the largest stones weigh over 200 tons. The dolmen seen on this page is of the northern tabletop type. The handful of dolmens illustrated here are among the largest and most spectacular in Korea. They are exceptional for that reason and are not representative of the majority of dolmens at Gochang or other sites. And just back to this video for a second. Let me see if I can locate it here. These sort of crafts. Here's some of them right here. Here's the kind of work, the craftsmanship in bronze that they could do with this super fine artistry and fine work here, etc., etc. Does this sort of artifact here to claim that these people were designing and producing and had this level of craftsmanship, and they're burying themselves in these like knuckle dragging Stone Age dolmens? So it just goes to show you, don't look at the walls, and especially the walls of New England here, okay, and think for a second that these people were just, this is it to their culture or whatever. There's a highly organized society here, and I talk about it on my channel, and some of these videos, like this one here, talk about that, and you should really be looking at some of that stuff. So here's the tall dolmen, very interesting and huge. You know, how did they get those stones up there like that? It must have taken an awful lot of people. But I would imagine, like in the Americas, if you were a certain size, like big, for example, all right, that might not be as difficult for you, for them, as you might think. And this evidence, as I said, I go over the elongated skulls on my channel found across the world in other countries that you may not have known about. So let me read to you some of this article. Well, actually, it's a research paper from the Middle Ages of Medieval Period by the Russian Academy of Sciences. Okay, and I'll just, I don't want to make this video so long and it just takes forever because we got to get to another aspect of this that's important. Okay, so here's a paper by several scientists from the Russian Academy of Sciences on these megaliths. Introduction. Megaliths are a type of archaeological monument representing structures made of one or more large stones. They are both outstandingly spectacular and difficult in terms of dating and interpretation. Megaliths were built in many cultures beginning with the Stone Age. The most famous and well studied megalithic cultures, menhirs, dolmens, cromlechs, trilithons, and other varieties, are those of Western Europe and Western Asia, while other regions, Southern and Southeastern Asia, have so far been considered only preliminarily in the Russian archaeological literature. The Korean Peninsula is one of the world's largest centers of megaliths. In this region, they amount to over 30,000 complexes. So 30,000 complexes. All right. Hanyuk Jisomyo, 1999, and currently research there. According to the dominant theory, it is precisely the megalithic tradition that accompanied the spread of agriculture and metallurgy from the Korean peninsula to the Japanese archipelago at the turn of the eras and was a typical feature of the Yayoi culture. Okay, so you have this culture here. They have unusually shaped skulls. They were rather tall, even for the terms in, traditional mainstream research as to the history of height of human beings. Even though they, whatever individual they're mentioning here, and I don't hear about the rest of the skeletons they dug up there, how big they were or anything. Just this one being a 5'8" or 5'9". Well, that's rather tall for people from that era, and especially in Asia here, one would assume or whatever. So the similarities here are just uncanny. What they're mentioning about agriculture and metallurgy is similar to the story about the Bell Beaker people in Europe, these rather large hominids who are like 7 feet tall or better, with vaulted craniums that supposedly brought metallurgy with them as they colonized themselves throughout Europe and the UK. Okay, so the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this is putting us further back in time to these areas where these rather large hominids lived, and what I believe are who are responsible for doing all of these constructions, including these here in Korea. Okay, because they're more capable of doing so. You see, if you're 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 feet tall and 14 and 16 and 18 feet tall, well, maybe moving these things around wasn't so difficult as it would be of people of average height today, which is about 5'8" worldwide. People of taller than 7 foot is a percentage of 1% of the overall worldwide population. According to the dominant theory, it is precisely the megalithic tradition that accompanied. Okay, so we read that about the spread of agriculture metallurgy from the Korean peninsula to the Japanese archipelago at the turn of the eras as a typical feature of the Yayoi culture. So that's who they're calling these people, I guess. We think that the most important problems in the study of megaliths are the origin, purpose, and mutual influence of various traditions of megalithic architecture in neighboring regions. Are megaliths an indicator of exclusively agricultural societies? Is it possible to view them as a special type of burial complex? It is from this perspective that we consider the phenomenon of megaliths on the Korean peninsula and the adjacent territories of the Japanese archipelago using the data of archaeology, natural science, and experimentation. Megalithic structures on the Korean peninsula. The megalithic culture of the Korean peninsula is mainly represented by dolmens, structures in the form of a box made of two or more large stones covered by a stone slab. Separately standing stones, menhirs, are also known. Because of the lack of associated finds, the time of construction and cultural context of menhirs cannot be established, so they will not be considered in this article. The largest centers where dolmens occur are Jeonnam-do province of the Republic of Korea, as well as the provinces of Pinganam-do, Hwanghae-nam-do, and Hwanghae-buk-do in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The greatest concentration of these monuments is observed on the coast of the Yellow and East China Seas, as well as in the basins of rivers that flow into these seas. The Chongchon, Taidong, and Imjin in the DPRK, and the Hangum, Yangsang, Songjin with the tributary Basong, and the Nakdong with the tributaries Hwang and Nam in the Republic of Korea. So many of these Neolithic settlement areas located near water areas, etc. You know, highly surprising, although they said some of these islands are built high up. But the Korean Peninsula is rather mountainous in some areas as well. Um, The number of dolmens is small in the central and eastern regions of the Korean peninsula. Only 267 dolmens are known in Gangwon-do province, and 207 dolmens are known, excuse me, in Chungcheongbuk-do province. Typology of dolmens. There are three main types of dolmens: northern in the form of a table, southern with a foundation and without supporting stones. In some studies, one more type of liaskis with ring stonework is distinguished. Dolmens of the northern type are classical. They have the burial chamber on the surface and are composed of two four slabs covered with a stone lid, like this one here. Such structures have been found in all areas, but the majority are located in the territory of the DPRK and in the central part of the Korean peninsula. Thus, about 120 dolmens of the northern type are known in Gyeonggi-do province. Most of them are located on Gangwon Island and on the territory north of the Han River. Typical dolmens of northern type are Bangri-num, and they name a bunch of them here, can be okay. A small number is known in the central regions in the far south of the Korean peninsula. The burial chamber among the dolmens of the southern type is located in a ground pit, and in some cases there is no stone structure inside the grave. Several small amorphous stones, which were not part of the burial chamber, were set up on the ground and supported a stone lid. In most cases, a box of flagstone was used as a burial chamber in the dolmens of the southern type, less often a tiled coffin, and sometimes simply a ground pit. Such monuments have not been found on the territory of North Korea. They appear sporadically in the eastern and central regions of the peninsula, except for Chungcheongan Nam-do province, where this type is predominant. Dolmens of the southern type are abundantly present in the coastal areas of South Korea, including the provinces of such and such and such and such. Okay. So it's saying how some of these weigh up to 260 tons. The majority of dolmens on Jeju Island also belong to the southern type. So this is another island where dolmen are found. In the case of dolmens without supporting stones, the structure of the burial chamber was the same with dolmens of the southern type, but the lid was placed directly the over the burial chamber. This type is common throughout the entire territory of the peninsula. The structures of the dolmens without supporting stones also show regional differences. In the northern and central regions, a tiled coffin was primarily used as a burial chamber, while a box made of flagstone was used in the south. Upon visual examination, dolmens of Waskius type resemble those of the southern type. However, it is opposed to the latter. The burial chamber in the Waskius dolmens are located on the surface, and the supporting stones serve as walls. The placement of the stones usually forms a round amorphous shape in plan view, since it repeats the shape of the lid and is not equipped with additional covering. In rare cases, the burial chamber was a ground pit, which was slightly deepened into the native soil, and stones supporting the lid were set up in the upper parts of the walls. Dolmens of this type appear only in the southern regions of the Korean Peninsula on Jeju Island, with the exception of Dolmen Jinmak-ri number 4 in Chungcheongbuk-do province. Okay, so it gets into it a little bit more. It talks about the pottery and the different things that were found there that seem so very far advanced to the style of burials they're certainly doing there. And they get deep, deep into this research here on these things. And they don't talk much about the skeletal remains at all, but I have a feeling that that part of it is being purposely covered up, so we don't really find out about it. Here's some other pictures of Gochang County dolmens, all right, and you can see a bunch of others here. This is the Gangwon dolmens. Neolithic dolmens are located on the mountain slopes of the Gangwon-do, an island just north of Incheon City and the 21st Century International Airport. And this one is of particular interest. We're going to talk about it because there seems to be some carvings on here. And all right, so the Hwasun Dolmen site. So we get a few of these here. Hwasun County, Korea. Dolmens are megalithic stones found both in Europe and in Asia and in the Americas that mark the burial of prehistoric elites. Those in Hwasun date to the 6th to 5th century BC, later than Gochang and Gangwon. Seen here is a go board, southern type of dolmen, in which a capstone is supported upon a set of smaller stones and the burial is placed underground. Okay, could this be what's going on here in the Americas and just nobody's bothered to dig under these things here, and they're not allowed to anyway? These are hundreds of dolmens scattered around Hwasun County, believed between Hwasun-ri and Dasan-ri. There is also Dolmen Park in nearby Suncheon-si, created to display dolmens that had to be relocated from the floodplain of the Hwang Reservoir. So these were actually relocated. They didn't do any such thing in the Americas here. They just flooded up all these sites and didn't care. Here's the one here that weighs to some 290 tons, you know, crazy weight here. 290 tons, all right. That's mighty big to lift up and put on something, and that's what they say it is. right? So here's some more. Is this roundish one, right? Very interesting. And here's a quarry where they say they got the stone from. Look at the size of those suckers. And interesting stonework in the area. Another quarry, they say. Another quarry here. Could they be cannibalizing some ancient megalithic structure that was there previously? I'm asking. What do you think? All right, so let's take another look at a different aspect to these megalithic, Neolithic constructions, Dolmen, etc. What else might they have? What other meaning might they have? So let's take a look at that. And this is at megaliths.net here. And they've done some interesting research, which is just fascinating. So let's look into it. I know this is rather long, but these very important site that's really just being looked at and studied, you know, in recent times. All right, so these people have done research, and a megalith dome is deciphered as astronomy. Korea and megaliths? Question mark. Korea is a megalithic surprise. Did you know that Korea claims to have more megalithic dolmens than any other country in the world? A dolmen in Korea is called a Gondal V's. Guangdao V's Gisakmyo or Jisakmyo, Japanese. A dolmen in Chinese is Shakbong. The common sign Siak in Japanese, Korean, and Chinese means stone. So they all have the common stone. That goes back into their past in their languages further back than anything. As written at the Korean Hwasun Dolmen site, it is assumed that the Hwasun Dolmens were erected from about 3000 BC. This correlates with the date of 3117 BC, which has been fixed by megaliths.net as the era of the megalithic survey of the earth. Well, that's what they say anyway. As reported by the March 12, 1999 Korean Herald, Korea does have a tremendous number of dolmens at its megalithic sites. Three of these sites were included in 2001 in UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. So I go through the same sites that we just talked about, Gochang, Hwasun, and Kanghwa. And here's the megalith that we were looking at there from um, Gochang. Was it? No, it was the Kanghwa, right? Or was it Hwasun? No. Where is it? It's not this one. No. Um, this one right here. That's what they're talking about. See? So, this guy here, and this is what is on this. Okay? These sites are on the offshore island of Kongwa, once again on mountain slopes. They tend to be higher than those in the other sites and stylistically early, notably those at Bungon-ri and Goshon-ri. So they show all these different effigies in it and questioning whether it's, represents Ursa Major, okay, and the Milky Way, Cepheus, Cassiopeia, Perseus, Gemini, Auriga. the Milky Way on the back of a bull or elephant. Okay. Andromeda, elephant, Pegasus, Aries. Okay. This is what they see on this thing. See, and you can see some of the carvings on it. The Gangwon Dolmen is in this regard similar to the megalithic site at Sprague, County Roscommon in Ireland, which also marks Ursa Major. Amsa Dong Masari prehistoric settlements, what is now Seoul, have marked the center of heaven for the Neolithic survey of Korea. We cannot be sure of our Kangwa Ursa Major identification because we simply do not have enough photos or information about the rest of the dolmens in Korea. However, if this identification were correct, then it would mean that the Amsterdam and Misari prehistoric settlement, now Seoul, marked the center of heaven in the ancient Neolithic survey of Korea by astronomy. Mizar, a star in Ursa Major, has a name similarity to Misari, but this could be pure chance. Yuri Dolmen Changrong near Daegu, Korea marks Orion's belt. The Yuri Dolmen of Changwon near Daegu, Korea gives us a clear identification for the placement of megaliths in Korea in the ancient megalithic survey. The Yuri Dolmen represents Orion's belt by its ancient location on a site formed as a three-pronged plow. So this is what they're showing here. Okay, as Orion's belt as in this area, okay, of the Yuri Dolmen. Okay, it's research from 2005. Yuri Dolmen is like Chinese and Japanese Karasuki Boshi, the three-pronged plow of Orion's belt. We see this identification substantiated in ancient Chinese and Japanese astronomy, where the three-forked plow was Orion's belt, envisioned as below by Sahori Ahara and Steve Renshaw. Okay, so this is how they imagine it in Japanese and Chinese astronomy, three-pronged plow, and similar here in Korea in this topography. Arakaya Tumuli Dongari Haminkaya near Busan, Korea, and the rock drawing there mark the stars below and to the left of Orion toward the outer leg of the Milky Way at Vela and the Vela supernova. Another decipherment that we have made is based on the photographs and drawings of the Arakaya Tumuli and petroglyphs shown by Byung Kwang Hyun. Okay, I looked at some of these, they don't exist. You can't see whatever it is. Photographed by Russell Coleman of Bella. Okay, so here's the Arakaya. Korea shows Bella and large round swirls as in the United Kingdom and Ireland. Rock drawings mean empty space. So another decipherment that we have made is of the megalith site Bangudai Osan, Southeast Korea, which we think mark Pisces and Cetus in the ancient megalithic survey of Korea. Okay. So here you have this. This rock drawing at the archaeological site of Bangdu-dae and Ulsan on the coast of Southeast Korea, and is what is now South Korea, marks this region of Korea as Pisces and Cetus in the ancient geodetic survey of the Korean peninsula by astronomy, in which survey the area of Seoul marked the center of heaven. This rock drawing covers the region of the sky from the spring equinox to the winter solstice, circa 3117 BC. Calum is marked as the profile of a human face, Eridanus as an animal or possibly swordfish. Pisces and Cetus are marked by fish, perhaps whales. Taurus is marked by a boat. Auriga is the head of a bird. Perseus is a human figure. Cassiopeia is marked by four figures for its four major stars. Andromeda and Pegasus seem to be formed by the head of an elephant. The circlet of Pisces could be a fishing boat, an Aquarius type floating bucket used to hold captured whales above water. The marked line on the stone marks the line of the winter solstice. To its right are Cygnus as the head of a bird, and below the figures of a dog's head and a cat's figure. Capricorn could be a hook or some round fish. Okay, so amazing the level of astronomy knowledge that these people had, and they were, I guess, carving it into rock. Okay, Korea has a long history of human habitation, indicating settlement from the north. There is some dispute as to whether the first inhabitants were Proto-Caucasian and only then followed by people of Mongoloid stock. So this is what they're saying here. Okay, the president of the World Megalithic Association in Korea, Yu In-hak, claimed in 1999 that 25,000 dolmens still existed in Korea, as opposed to 80,000 dolmens and standing stones 30 years previous. Most have been destroyed by land development, construction, and ignorance. The largest dolmen, Bungan-ri, in Korea is 7.1 by 5.5 meters in size. It's a huge one. Koreans categorize three. Okay, so we talked about three types of dolmen. I don't want to make this too long, but the archaeoastronomy that's in some of these things is just very interesting that they found these things on these things, and what else could there be on other ones? And again, the level of art and culture seems to be a lot higher than what the stone dolmen seemed to represent. It's another mirror. This was a mirror, a polished mirror on the other side. So you see this extra fine work done in there or whatever. I mean, could they quarry stones and whatnot? Why not make them perfectly round or whatever? Why such big ones, and how they do it? 290 tons. Well, that's huge, guys, to be placing on top of anything. All right, so I thought you might like to know about where the biggest area of dolmens and Neolithic stone construction seem to be officially in the world. But again, I'm going to tell you again, there's many more of these things to be found in northeastern part of North America and in North America in general. Okay, so it may not be Korea, it's here, but it's unrecognized here because nobody's supposed to be going back that far in history here, according to old prejudices that don't seem to die. Where even though more research has been done and more things have been found to show that culture goes back further back in the Americas than we can possibly imagine. All right, guys. So anyway, I thought you might like to see some of those things and hear about these things. And if you didn't know about Korea, now you do. And it's just very interesting. And the strange skull type found there with the remains gets you thinking, doesn't it? Well, anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. It was rather lengthy, but I wanted to get out all that information to you about the site because there's even some of these short videos on YouTube about the site. And there's a couple of them seem to be tourist videos, a couple of sort of official ones, but they don't tell you much. All right, so anyway, if you like the video, please do hit the like button, and I'll be seeing you real soon with a new video about some interesting stuff. All right, okay, guys, Bloodcat7 signing out. Peace.